I've already started having an intriguing discussion with our guest this morning. Osezusi Bolodeoku is a certified special educational needs expert and advanced certified autism specialist. She's the founder and CEO of FOS Creative Arts Studio, an inclusive creative center that helps to nurture creativity, social skills, emotional intelligence, and other practical skills that all children need to succeed and thrive in the world. And today, we're talking about empathy being a skill. It is great to have you. You are welcome.
Good morning. Good to be here again.
Okay. Now, that's something that when you mentioned, I found it a bit, how do I put it out, disruptive in some way, that empathy is a skill.
Yes, it is.
How so?
Okay. When we're coming from, let me give a bit of background now. When we're coming from the thing called the theory of the mind, there's something called the theory of the mind. Theory of the mind is how we view the world and how we think other people view the world as well.
Okay.
So when we're coming from that aspect, perspective taking, right? It's not just my perspective in this life. You know, it's not just my way. There are other people's way. And what it really is empathy, whether we're talking about cognitive empathy now or affective empathy. Empathy is just putting yourself in the other person's shoes. So cognitive empathy is like, okay, putting yourself in the way the other person think. Like, okay, how does this person really think? How do their brain work? Can I understand where they're coming from? Or affective, emotional, like how someone feels. And it's really something that we should teach children because, I mean, take for example, a child could come in while we're having this conversation and just interrupt. If they do not know how to, okay, these people are having a conversation, let me wait and say, excuse me, can I? They wouldn't know to do that, right?
But now some people will tell you that there are some children that are born with a proclivity to be more empathetic. Towards situations than others. It's easier for some people. So when you mention it's a skill, that means that it might be hard, it can be taught, but then it's going to be harder to
primarily should be taught by the parents or the caregiver, not even the schools, and because empathy is modeled. Is what you see your parents, yes, it's modeled, is what you see your parents do, is how you see them accommodate other people, talk to people around them. Pretty much empathy is how we live our lives. Yes, because I mean, if we don't know to, you know, especially the children I work with, children on the spectrum, neurodivergent children, they could just, they don't know how to like body awareness, they don't know how to personal space, they could come into your space, and because they really do not have that theory of the mind for that. And that's where empathy is as well. So
how now coming in,
it's really broad. I'm just trying to.
It is, I know, of course, definitely. Now, in a case where you come in contact with a child who, I don't know, maybe it's harder for that child to learn. Some people say a stubborn child, as it were, where you have those kind of situations. Are there hacks that one can use in those particular scenarios to ensure that the message gets across?
The hack you can use is, you the adult, are you emotionally regulated? Take for example, you're coming back from work. You've had such a tough day. You told your children to keep the sitting room clean. You've had such a tough day. They didn't keep the sitting room clean. You come back home and you're screaming because you've had such a tough day. You're not emotionally regulated. But another day, you've been promoted, you're happy. And even if they don't, the whole house is a mess, you're so happy, like, oh, this is not what we're even talking about. So primarily, the job of the adults in the environment to teach this skill.
So in that kind of case, there's no consistency in the emotional response from the parents because they're responding to how they feel, not how the situation demands them to respond.
Another very good example, how would I learn if I don't ask you questions? A child would ask a parent a question and they'll, how dare you talk to me? How will I learn? How will I know? The child is only asking, irrespective of the tone. You know, there are ways for you to teach this skill when you are emotionally regulated. And how? Pause. No matter how much your child triggers you, your child is still a growing brain that is learning. They do not have the capacity in their repertoire to do all that. So you pause, take a deep breath, check in on yourself, and respond appropriately the way you want the child to respond in future. So it's similar. But when you shout at the child, of course the child will shout.
Okay, now, I know you mentioned that this is primarily the job of the parents and caregivers, but we have the Montessori style of schooling, and people schools now are becoming more aware of this kind of thing because a lot of abuse happens in school, which could also affect the way, the other day, I think it was in Ogun State, where we had that a kid was, there was a corporal punishment up until the kid passed. So they would be, in fact, situations that would need them to display that skill will be more obvious when they are outside with other people in school. So schools, what can schools do? Schools have a lot to do.
Schools, we do have a lot to do at schools, right? Empathy goes both ways. That's why I use the theory of the mind. A child can be empathetic and be so self-aware that, no, I wouldn't take bullying, because they know how to treat themselves. They know how to love themselves, right? And no matter the school, truth is, I don't know how children get away with certain behaviors in environments that have, like, security, that have, like, adults watching.
Adults who are supposed to be
wardens, they always just get away. So you want to teach the child to be aware that, no, I don't like the way you're treating me. First, you teach children to love themselves. I tell my kids that if I love myself and I treat myself so good, I expect other people to treat me that way. So if you talk to me in a certain way, I can say, no, I don't like that, and I'll go and report to the teacher. Because I do not like how you've taught me, right? So, or spoken to me. So children need to really know who they are and how it stems from home.
Wonderful, wonderful. What are your final words on all of this? Because this has been expository, and like you said, it's very wide.
It's a very broad. It's not something
finish up all at once. How can parents get to do this? Just your final words on that.
My final word for this, and I would really appeal to the adults, the parents, the uncles, aunties out there. Can we please just pause? When we are obsessed with these children, can we take a look at ourselves inwardly first before responding to them? Because however way we respond to them, we're teaching them to respond to others that way. So please, let's be watchful and mindful of how we respond to situations. Let's not just be reactive and respond appropriately. Thank you
so much, Osezusi. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope this is something that I can go back maybe on YouTube and some sort of a reference material to get to listen to when there is something to be learned again. Thank you very much.